Hello, hello, hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, which is about stop recruiting on LinkedIn. I'm going to share my screen first, and maybe let us know in the chats on the right if you can hear us and if you can see us. That would be great. Normally, you should also see the slides. Just a quick checkup if all the technical stuff is working.
It looks like that. All clear. I can hear yes.
Yeah.
We're in business.
All right. Perfect. So first of all, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Steph. I'm the marketing lead at Simple, and next to me stands Mark. He's one of the founders of Simple. We're going to talk about why you should stop recruiting on LinkedIn if you're already doing that. And if you have questions during the webinar, you can ask them in the chat. We're here to answer them. We also want to make it a bit interactive, so there will be some polls popping up as well while we're presenting. All right. Then what is on the agenda for today? We're going to talk about LinkedIn, of course, the LinkedIn recruitment tools. There are some tools which LinkedIn provides to recruit online. We're also going to talk about paid LinkedIn recruitment campaigns, and then, of course, also some alternatives, because our statement is that you should stop it. So then we're also going to discuss the alternatives to find the right talent. And then at the end of the webinar, we're going to put a recruitment campaign live. Yes. And we want to ask the audience for a job title, the function title, and a company.
And a company.
Yes.
So that's the first interaction. Let's see if you're awake. Can you give us a proposal for a job title for which we should start a online campaign? So vacancy, a function name. Just put it into the chat. We have a calculator. That's a very hard to find job in the construction industry.
All right.
Engineer, yes. Let's keep it easy. Project manager, sales engineer. Let's see. The first function which comes double, we'll take. I think sales engineer. So that's the second sales engineer.
Okay.
So we'll go for sales engineer. And what company? What kind of company should we start recruiting a sales engineer? So let's see. Epic Data is the first company. Let's see if there's any other companies coming through. Go Jobs, well, that's a recruitment agency. Econox. Let's see if there's a second. So we have Epic Data, Watson. Let's see. Never heard of, Volvo Cars, that's a nice one. Many people know that. Equans. Well, let's take, I think most people don't know Volvo Cars. So let's make a sales engineer, and Volvo is coming up twice. So a sales engineer for Volvo. Okay, let's do that. And we'll come back to that at the end.
So that we will do at the end. But first of all, let's introduce Simple as well. So what we do at Simple, we try to provide qualified candidates, and we do this through targeted advertising on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and also sometimes LinkedIn, which I come back to later. And we do this in a user-friendly process, in user-friendly software, where you can also do it yourself. We also do integrations with different ATS, which you can find on the slides. That's also available. And here you can find some of our customers. We analyze 11 million data points per month, which is a lot because we're spending money, of course, for it, and we want to make the best out of it. So we analyze a lot. We've done over more than 9,000 campaigns in 32.
Well,
it's already 32. If the USA is already
there.
Yes,
we started. Yes, true.
Then it's 32.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Okay. First, a short introduction. Most of the job seekers, well, 20% of the job seekers, they are actively looking for a job on job boards, like Indeed, like Stepstone, Monster, but also on Google. They are actively looking for a job. But 80% is not actively looking for a job, but you can still convince them. Those are called the passive candidates. You can still convince them with social media, because there they are every single day. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and maybe also some LinkedIn. So this is really important to keep in mind, because during the presentation, we're going to talk about how you can reach those passive candidates and not only the active ones.
Well, maybe to add on that, I think, if you look at the current job market, even in a recession or allegedly a recession, it is still very, very difficult. The unemployment rate is quite low. So I think most people will agree that, it's not sufficient anymore to just reach active job seekers. If you want to start filling in vacancies, it's very important you're able to reach and convince those passive job seekers.
Yes, indeed.
Sometimes I also put some stuff, otherwise I feel a bit useless if there's no questions.
You're allowed to.
I will have to, that's cool. But please again, ask questions, so then at least I will shut up and Steph can continue with the presentation.
Yes. All right, and now how you can reach those passive candidates or those job seekers? Well, in marketing, we talk about push marketing and pull marketing. Push marketing is where you reach out to an audience, but it takes a lot of time, and you do it manually, and you pray actually that someone will respond or will reach out to you. That's push. Where in pull, you make advertising or you do something marketing-wise where you attract candidates or attract people. So you show really relevant stuff to your audience. And that's quite a difference between those two. And I will explain it a bit further during this webinar as well. But this is important to know because most of the recruiters are doing the push strategy, where we say you should also include the pull strategy into your recruitment marketing. All right, let's talk about other LinkedIn recruitment tools that are available. So first of all, there are some outreach tools. You have to pay for it. It's a subscription that you pay monthly or yearly. And one of them is Sales Navigator. The other one is Recruiter. Recruiter is specifically to do recruitment campaigns. Sales Navigator can also be done for lead generation, but there are both LinkedIn tools. Maybe introduce the first poll to see
Yes.
in the audience if there are already people using those kind of tools to be able to get to know the audience a bit more.
Right, there you go. Here we go. So are you already using LinkedIn? And it should be on the right-hand side of your screen. There's a poll where you can just kind of choose yes, no, or I have no idea what you're talking about. And then also in that case, you're exactly in the right webinar. Although we're going to tell you why you shouldn't use them, but then again, that's a different point. So interesting. 20% of people are, 80% are actually using one of those tools.
Okay, cool, nice. And all of them know the tools.
Well, nobody says I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, cool. So really quickly to explain you, this is, for example, a screenshot of Sales Navigator. So you find on the left different filters. What are the current job titles of the person you're looking for? Where do they have to live? Where do they have to work? In which industry? You can also put different entry levels in it, but you can, I mean, there are lots of filters which you can use to really define your target audience, who you want to reach. And then on the right, you can see that you find a list. Here it's more than 300 results, where you can find a list of all different profiles on LinkedIn. It is quite nice to find an audience, but there are some disadvantages of using this tool, and I just want to point that out because, first of all, it's very, very time-consuming. I mean, you have to search for them through the filters, then you have a list, and then you have to reach out to them, you have to write a message to them, which is very time-consuming, as it's one by one that you have to do it. Second of all, you pay for it. You buy credits, and for every person that you want to reach out to, you pay 1 credit. If the person responds, then you receive the credit back. So it's quite a difficult system to reach out to them, and it's also quite expensive.
Steffi, can I just interrupt? Because
Yeah.
I just lost, on my end, connection. So I just want to check if people are.
Let's see.
Let's see if you have. Can you just kind of?
You're
Right.
not in. Let me
Let
see.
me see. Okay, right. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm back. I'm back.
All right. Okay.
Right,
Cool. Then, of course, there is also a limit. You can only reach out to an amount of limit. It's based on the credits that you paid for. And then we experimented with it in the past, and then the response rate was quite low. So you reach out to lots of people, but yeah, they not always respond directly. And then, like I already said, it's pull. So you try to.
It's push actually.
It's push. Sorry,
it's push.
Yeah.
It's push versus.
Yes. Sorry.
In this case.
It's push. So you reach out to lots of people, but the return, well, it's actually post and pray. You try to reach out to them. You send them a message, but the return is quite low.
And on top of that, many of these people, we don't mention it here, especially in some kind of, if you're talking about sales engineers or data people, they get kind of 5 or several messages per day.
Yeah.
So obviously kind of you have a recurrent kind of, the response rate goes down,
exactly.
the longer it takes.
And also it's quite intrusive for the candidates as well, as they come into your private inbox on LinkedIn. So we're not really a fan of it, but the most important thing is because it's very time consuming. And of course, we know there are some automated outreach tools like Salesflow, Phantom Buster, and Galaxy. It's a bit of a gray zone if it's allowed.
I think, well, these companies play if it's a gray zone. I think LinkedIn will say it's kind of a very black zone. So it's kind of clearly going against the terms and conditions of LinkedIn. But obviously it has the advantage of kind of, creating volume and automating a lot of the tasks. So we're not advocating this. This is just being shown here to show that we are aware there's tools. And although they will increase the volume, most of the comments that, intrusive, push, etc., are still valid, even if you would be using those tools on top of.
Yes. All right. Now, there are also some alternatives on LinkedIn where you pay for it and you do paid campaigns. You also pay for Sales Navigator, but that's a recruitment tool of LinkedIn. But with the paid recruitment campaigns, you make campaigns in the campaign manager platform of LinkedIn itself. It's not only for recruitment, but for every campaigns. Of course, you can do also recruitment campaigns. Maybe just ask the audience if they're already doing paid LinkedIn recruitment campaigns. So really campaigns in Campaign Manager of LinkedIn itself.
I'll just put that up here. Let's start. Let's have a look. In the meantime, while we're waiting, there's a question of Liske, who's saying that in the recruitment seat, you can send emails. We fully agree, Liske. And that's exactly what we mean with it's kind of very time consuming. You have to look for people, select them, send them a personalized email because it's not personalized. So again, we're not kind of avoiding that there's a possibility there. It's just more that it's not going to really create a lot of reach or volume. But it has its role, and depending on the time you have available, you can use that.
Yeah, and I also think that lots of recruiters are doing it, and headhunters and all those kind of recruitment agencies.
Yeah.
So you're also competing against all those people that also want to reach those candidates.
And in a very non-branded way, because you can only send text messages. But we'll close off the poll because at the moment it's clear that most people haven't done paid recruitment campaigns, which is great because that's what we're going to be talking about.
Yes.
And actually, you know the conclusion already if you stopped with it, but I'm running ahead of some of our slides. Okay.
All right, cool, nice. Are there any more questions?
No, we just had some questions between Phantom Buster and Galaxy, but nothing relevant at this stage.
All right, okay. So of course you can make your job posting on LinkedIn itself, and then you can also promote it. You can put more money to it, and then LinkedIn claims that it will be shown more to the right audience. What we've noticed is that it's not really accurate. Sometimes you get, you're not reaching the right candidates with your vacancy. We tested it with it in the past.
Sorry, Els is saying a waste of money, and I think we're trying to find a politically correct way
I don't want
of
to
saying
like
Els.
I do agree. I mean, it's like putting it on your website and praying that visitors come to your website. That's actually basically it.
And again, maybe to add on that, thinking back on the point Stephanie made in the beginning, going for passive candidates, this is obviously only reaching out or reaching active candidates, because the people going to look at job posts
Yeah.
are the ones actively looking for a job. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. So, we don't want to say that, but it's a very small audience and it's not going to help you reaching passive candidates.
All right. Okay, so that's something that you could do, but it's not really targeted, like we already mentioned. And then I want to come back to sponsored email, because sponsored email is an email which you send via LinkedIn. And before 2022, you could reach them also via the campaign manager. So you could select an audience of digital marketeers with more than 5 years of experience, let's say in London, and then you can reach out to them via the emails, but it was all automated. It was really to a big kind of group without doing it manually. Unfortunately, since December 2021, it's no longer available in the LinkedIn Campaign Manager. I know it's still in Recruiter or with Sales Navigator, you can still do it, but it takes lots of time, where in 2021, you could still send it out automated.
Yeah. And as we understood at the time, because we talked to our account manager on LinkedIn, this was because of GDPR reasons, that they felt it was not something they could offer. At the time, they mentioned they were going to look for a solution and come with an alternative, but that never happened. Unfortunately, we will come back to the results because it was quite efficient from a cost perspective to use this also.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah,
good old days.
We were actually very happy with this kind of advertising on LinkedIn, but yeah, unfortunately things change, and then we need to search for alternatives. All right. Then what you can still do is make paid recruitment campaigns, which come in your feed, in your profile feed. And I just want to point out, for those who don't really know the difference between organic versus paid, on the left, you can see a visual which is posted organically on the company page. And then on the right, you can see the advertising. There isn't, you don't really see the differences, quite straightforward, but at the bottom, you will always see promoted or sponsored. So then you know that it's advertising. Then of course, you have more possibilities to make people click on it. You have a call to action, and then also you have a button to apply. So these are the differences. Also, when you click on the visual, then they come to the landing page, whereas in organic, you need to paste the link of your vacancy manually above the visual. Now, we are a big fan of paid campaigns and not organic campaigns. And why is this? Because organically, the LinkedIn algorithm is a bit of a black box. And we know that if you post something on your company page, then you can be happy if 3% of your followers see this post, which is not a lot. Of course, when people start to engaging with the post, liking the post, reposting it, making comments, then of course the percentage will increase. But yet it's not the best way to reach the right people, because it's not targeted. You don't select your audience within your followers. So we're going to talk now about the paid campaigns. And before you can start with the paid campaigns, you need to get some basics right. I'm not going into detail what the basics are. I think we have written lots of white papers of that, and we made lots of webinars about that. It will take us too long. But Mark will share the academy maybe, where you can find all of our resources for free. It's certainly for free. And there you can search for all the technical setup, etc. But first of all, you need to make the tracking right. You want to know how many people click on your campaign, how many people come to your vacancy page, how many people apply, etc. It is some technical setup, I must say. So you need to get it right before you can start with the campaigns, of course. Then also you need to think of audiences. There are lots of options within LinkedIn, but also on Facebook and Instagram, and you need to find the right way to build those audiences. And then of course you can think of retargeting. When a person sees your advertisement, but they don't apply immediately, then you can retarget it retarget them with another advertisement to make them apply. Those are all things that you need to keep in mind. You can, there are some things you need to install first. For example, the LinkedIn Insights tag. You need to install this on your website before you can actually start with making those campaigns. Another thing which I want to explain before we go deeper into the campaigns is A/B testing. What is an A/B test? We at Simple are a really big fan of A/B testing. It's actually a test, an experiment that you run where there is only one thing that is different. For example, if you have two visuals, then test them both. We don't know which visual will work best. So we test them both. If you have a team picture or a picture of the office, then test them both, but make sure that the ad copy, the text is the same, the function title is the same, so that you know at the end when a visual is working better, that you know it's because of the visual that resonates best within your audience. There are lots of things which you can A/B test: ad copy, visual, function title, placements, but also platforms. And I want to share with you some experiments that we run for our clients where we A/B tested a platform. So let me show the first one. This is also, this is also an example of an A/B test. You see that the copy is the same, the visual is the same, only the function title is different. So you can test everything you want, and then you just put it live in the campaign manager. After a couple of days, you see the data coming in, and then you can see which one resonates the best within your audience. All right. Then I'm going to share some experiments. Are there any more questions?
Not at the moment.
No? Okay.
I think they're all in awe of all this information which is coming in there. They're keeping their questions for the end.
Okay, perfect. All right, so the first one, we were looking for an assistant accountancy for one of our clients, and we tested a visual of the company, which was a brewery, and we tested this visual on LinkedIn and also on Facebook. And so it was an assistant accountancy. He or she needed, 3 years of experience, I think. We are going to launch a poll to see what you think that was working the best. Yeah. Was it the visual on LinkedIn or the visual on Facebook?
And just to clarify, because this was not a brewery, this was the actual Abbey.
Okay, yeah.
Both our customers, both the brewery of Westmaal, which is an amazing, great beer, is a customer using our software, but also the Abbey themselves, hence the religious text a bit on the top. It's not for people looking for beer. Okay, and currently it's I was going to say it's neck on neck, but that's not true. It's coming closer, but most people think that the Facebook ad would work best. Obviously, the title of this webinar is kind of giving it away. So unless you're kind of completely by coincidence getting into this webinar, you would get the other one. But okay, let's give it away.
Yes. All right. So these are the results, and I'm just going to explain it how you have to understand those results. So in LinkedIn and in Facebook, you give some media budgets for your campaigns, and then of course how you see the applicants coming in, and the cost per application, the CPA, is the cost, of course, that you pay per applicant. So the media budget divided by the applicants. And here you could see that on LinkedIn, we spent 252 euros and 70 cents, and we only received one applicant, which is quite expensive. Whereas on Facebook, we received 30 applicants for a cost of only 26 euro and 90 cents, which is cheaper, and we got more applicants coming from Facebook. And I just want to point out that, of course, you need to have a look at the quality of the candidates as well, because it can be that not all the applicants that apply are also qualitative for the job. So you also need to keep that in mind. You can also measure the cost per qualified applicant, which is also an important metric when you're doing recruitment campaigns.
Yeah, but maybe just talking to, because there was a both Konrad and Nick are making that point in the chat. We will look in our software to the approval rate. So when candidates coming in, how many of them are actually approved to go to the next round, or to the next round in the selection of that customer, because they can indicate that in our software. That is around 37% on average. We don't see massive differences between LinkedIn and Facebook or the other channels for that matter. So I think, because that was also what we thought initially, that will make difference. And while I'm explaining something, we don't have a slide on that because I'm not running ahead yet.
Yeah.
But that's something which obviously we also take into account. Before you go on, Steph, there's a good question from Wouter. Is there a reason why a visual related to accountant is not chosen? I don't immediately see the link to an accountant in this ad.
Yeah.
We will talk about that later, but this is also maybe a good moment.
Yeah, I think I can already explain, Wouter. We tested lots of visuals. So this is only one visual that we show now from the campaign. And because it was a unique environment to work, we showed the how do you call it, the API?
Yeah, the API.
Yeah. Which we thought was quite attractive to make people stop scrolling. Whereas you could also show the team, and we had also a picture of the team, but we saw that this picture actually worked better than the other one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is, and again, another A/B test which we run regularly, and which is also surprising on learning what works best. Just a question from Tess, but I will take that.
Yeah.
Tess is saying, I might have missed important information. Which software do you use? Do you use Facebook software directly? So the answer is yes and no, in the sense that obviously we use our own software to launch advertising, but we do use the API of Facebook. So from a kind of, from that perspective, whether you would use the business manager or not to do A/B testing, that would not matter that much. Obviously, because of our software kind of runs differently, and we can compare channels against each other. Okay, some questions coming in. Finally, that's good. Let me have a look. Okay, so a question from Koen. Isn't this also dependent on the level of the position, i.e., will engineers score better on LinkedIn and electricians better on Facebook?
Good question.
I love that question.
Well, we didn't. We quite experimented a lot with it, and we do have some data of job functions that work better on LinkedIn than on Facebook. But you will see it also in the next experiments, which I will show you. But yeah, of course there is a difference. Although I must say, you always have to test it again.
Yeah. I was going to say something. I think we have some interesting data building on this, so we're going to park that question. If need be, we'll come back to that. Cool. Just on Yannick's question, do you have data on the quality of applicants? I just referred to the point I made earlier, the percentage of candidates being approved to go to the next round, which is kind of around 37% in the data we have, and there's no real difference between LinkedIn and Meta platform. Obviously, we don't always have full visibility on what people are hired, because not all of that is available in our software. But from those
it is available, but
it is available. And from those campaigns, when we run campaigns for customers, again, we don't really see a significant difference in quality coming from LinkedIn versus the other channels. Okay, good. And then maybe, Nick, again, on higher management versus lower management, but we'll park that question when we get to the demographics.
Yeah. All right. Another experiment, and I'm not going to ask you every time which one do you think that worked best. I'm just going to show the data. We actually thought that for an automation engineer, which is a quite high level of profile that we were looking for, that LinkedIn would work better. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Unfortunately, I mean, Facebook was also working well, and Instagram also, but it's not shown on the slides. Of course, you see that the cost per application is a bit higher, as it's of course a more niche kind of profile that we were looking for over here. Then another one for Dry Solutions, which is also a client of us. Here we compared LinkedIn versus Instagram. And then even here you could see that Instagram had more applicants, at a low cost per application. I must say 29 euros is quite good for Instagram. Whereas on LinkedIn, we still try to make campaigns, and now you see only visuals, but we're also experimenting with videos as well on LinkedIn. But we do see that the impressions are quite low, the cost per click is quite high, and we just don't receive lots of applicants. And whereas in the targeting options on LinkedIn are much more than on Facebook and Instagram. But again, we're still getting more applicants on Facebook and Instagram compared to LinkedIn. Then another one for a sales engineer, which is also the thing that we are going to make at the end. We didn't receive any applicants on LinkedIn. We did receive applicants on Instagram, but here you can see that the cost is quite high, 90 euros. Not sure, I mean, I can't say why the cost is that high. It must have been that it's a very, difficult audience to reach, or people don't really apply. But you can see that the cost per application can differ, and it's based on your campaign, it's based on your company, it's based on your branding, it's based on your visuals. It's of course based on different things, why the cost can be higher.
Okay, just going to interrupt. There's two questions actually, kind of both asking about targeting options on Facebook, which are indeed more limited since the special ads category was implemented. We're going to talk about that in detail when we're going to set up the campaign together.
Yeah.
So I will come back to that question. I think it's better placed when we actually set up a campaign and explain to you how you can work around that at the time. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's a question from Michelle. Does the use of social media at the company have an impact on the results of a campaign? I think, Michelle, I'm going to guess here that what you're saying is that if a company is quite active organically, whether it has an impact on the results of a campaign, and I would say no. No. It's not going to be related. You know, when you do an advertising campaign, a lot of other parameters are relevant, which we might talk a bit about later, depending on the time we have, but it's not related to your organic activity at all. Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. One more, and just to show you that sometimes we do see that there are candidates coming from LinkedIn. Here you could see we were looking for a claim officer. Is that the right translation? Yeah. All right. So it is quite niche. It was for DEKRA, also one of our clients, and we tested it on LinkedIn, Facebook, and also Instagram. And we did receive some applicants from LinkedIn. So you could see that. Well, sometimes it does work. That's why earlier I said if you do A/B tests, then you should test it every time again, because it depends on when you're running it, on your brand, on the pictures, etc. So test it anyways.
Good. We're going to have to hurry up a bit, I think, with the slides, but there's again good questions coming in. Mm-hmm. And I think I'll briefly, Jones is asking, I'm hoping I'm assuming that's your first name, whether we kind of work around third-party cookie restrictions. We do indeed use server-side tagging, which also allows us to use a conversion API of Facebook. So yes, it's quite a technical question, but yes, our software will use the server-side tagging.
Actually, we should do a next webinar about it for all the technical.
We should do one. Yeah.
HR.
We actually have a lot of data to doing that. And Marloes, yes, you can do advertising on Facebook or Instagram, even if you do not have a company account. But you need to have an advertising account, but you don't need to have a company page or that's correct, right?
No, that's not correct.
That's not correct. It's good. That's why we have the expert here. I will just walk on the screen, never to be seen again.
So, Marloes, you do need a company page to run campaigns on Facebook or Instagram or even LinkedIn.
But, and that's why I was confused, you do not need one if you want to use our software to post that. That's why I was a bit confused. And also because of my age, and because normally at this time I'm already sleeping.
So you're taking a nap after lunch.
Exceptionally, I have to stay awake, and obviously I make mistakes, and apologies for that. Okay, let's move on.
Yes. All right, this is the final experiment which I want to show, because we're also talking about TikTok, and on TikTok you can only show videos. So we tested a video on LinkedIn and a video on TikTok, where we're looking for production leader. And we received more on TikTok. Mark talked about the approval rate of all the people that come in. We do see a difference if we compare TikTok to all the other channels. We're not there yet with TikTok, I must say. So the cost per application was a bit higher also on TikTok. But again, it was better than LinkedIn, as we didn't receive any candidates on that platform.
Okay.
All right, then where do you have to find talent then if you're not using LinkedIn anymore or not spending much money on it? Well, first of all, I want to share with you these worldwide numbers of users per month. These are the numbers. You can all read them, of course, but you can see that Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok has more users than LinkedIn. Let's make that clear first. Then 84% of all Belgians, because we're based in Belgium, there are lots of Belgians in the audience as well, uses at least one social media platform per day, which is, of course, a lot. And if we look at those social media platforms, then we do see that 53% of all the users of Facebook opens the application or the website once per day. So at least once per day, which is a lot. Whereas in LinkedIn, it's only 4% of the users. And this is quite impressive to see the difference between those different social media channels. And then maybe launch quickly another poll.
Because there was already a question on the demographics. So we'll do one poll here. Because exactly on TikTok, actually, because there was a question on TikTok. So the question is, how many TikTok users are older than 25 years old? So if you can, so how many people using TikTok today are older than 25 years old? And just for the audience, we do not think that 25 years is old, right? You're still in the prime of your age.
Even 32, right?
Even 32. I'm not sure why that number is popping up. Maybe because a lot of people tell me I look like I'm 32. That's probably the reason. Okay, so well, some people have been paying attention maybe to previous webinars.
Mm-hmm.
So most people actually think that around 20 to 40% of people are older than 25.
Okay.
I'm sure we're going to get that number.
Yes, so it's more than 60%. 60 is older than 25 years old, which is, well, we must say we also found it quite amazing, because we thought that TikTok was only for young people, happy dances, etc. But it's not the case. There are also older people on TikTok. All right. I also want to show you this one. It's based on our data in-house of 2022 and 2023. These are the applications of all the different channels. So you see that most of the applications come from Facebook, Instagram, the employer branding page also, and the job boards, because we also provide some job boards in our software. But you see that only 1.2% is coming from LinkedIn. So this is really not a lot, and that's why we're saying we're not really a big fan of LinkedIn anymore.
And maybe just the conclusion shouldn't be that's because we are not investing on LinkedIn. We have invested quite a bit of money in those 2 years because we are kind of obviously, we're also kind of shocked by this. Mm-hmm. So we did lots of experiments. We really tried, right? But obviously, at the end of the day, if the data is not, or if the data is there showing that you shouldn't spend it, that's a conclusion we should take.
Mm-hmm. Then the advertising cost, it's also quite expensive on LinkedIn. This is the cost per 1,000 impressions which you pay on those social media channels, where you can see that on Facebook and Instagram, it's less, and on TikTok, it's even more less. But of course, you need to keep in mind the quality of TikTok is a bit less than Facebook and Instagram. But this is the data that we had in 2023. And then, of course, if you count all those campaigns and the CPM, then you come to the cost per application. And here we saw in 2023 that on LinkedIn, the cost per application is just through the roof. And I know there are some campaigns that work on LinkedIn, but with all the campaigns that we've run in the last year, and it's a lot, and it's different job titles, different levels of experience, etc., then we do see that the cost per application is actually the best on Facebook. On the right, you could see the cost per application when LinkedIn sponsored email was still available. You could see that it was 48 euros, which is of course very cheap. But yeah, again, it's not there anymore. So we have to go further with all the other channels.
And again, just to make it big, because maybe people have forgotten about that, but that sponsored email was like a mass email. So this is not what you send out when you use recruiter accounts. This is very different data set to that. So you should compare it to what you pay and what you do when you're using your recruitment account. Question was whether these results are mainly from Europe. Yes, they are. So most of the 32 countries, until very recently, we weren't active in USA. So no, so to be fair, there's no USA data or USA campaigns in here. Question from Basic, what if we hire international? But I think I just answered that. This is for customers of us recruiting in 32 countries. The main focus point, to be honest, is Benelux, but there's still quite a lot of other countries in Europe here. So I would disagree that LinkedIn is still the best for finding candidates. Again, I want to reiterate the point, we are not saying the outreach system isn't working. It's still a massive, effective database you can use on LinkedIn, but it's not going to be a very efficient way of your time and or money. Yes, we have this per sector, Aliska, but well, maybe we should see if we can start making some charts with that, but we want to kind of stick to the timing today on this. But there's no massive differences on that.
All right.
Okay,
then I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to give the screen and the floor to you, Mark.
Yes, I just realized. Can we just maybe do the slides on these ones on yours, on your computer?
Yeah, okay.
Then we'll go live just on the software. So again, very briefly, and we hope it's clear now that if it's quite complicated if you want to set up your own campaigns. So we just want to kind of very top line take you through that, and then we'll go live and set it up together. Just running up one question from Marie on the qualified leads. Again, I know I'm repeating the 37%. It would look very, very similar from a graph perspective. The numbers will be obviously slightly different, but the relationship between Meta and LinkedIn would be the same. Okay, so if you want to set up a campaign, on the first starting off, you need to make sure you have your pixel, you have Google Tag Manager, you have Google Analytics installed. So you need to have a quite high performing website. Why? Because once a campaign is running, and we hope we make that clear, once you develop campaigns, once you start setting up campaigns, you need to be able to do A/B testing, to set up, to learn from that data in order actually to optimize your campaign. So social media is very, very different versus setting up job post on Indeed or on another job board. So it's something you can set it up, but it needs constant supervision. You need to start fine-tuning. Is Instagram working better than TikTok? Should I turn off TikTok or not? Etc. etc. So there's quite a complicated setup at the base while you're developing the campaigns, but also while the campaign is running and you're managing it, which is exactly why we developed the software called Simple, which allows you to actually only have to focus on writing the text and visuals, finding visuals, and then screening the candidates. And why is that? Because most of the things that you have to do it yourself are done automatically through our software. What we want to do now is maybe just so the overview is we have one software that reaches candidates on those 4 most important channels. It does a setup for you, it develops the campaigns for you, and then allows you to manage both campaigns automatically and the candidates coming out of that. Right, we'll just quickly check some of the questions. Maybe for you, Steph, you can answer a question.
Yeah.
What do you think about sponsored campaigns on Google for vacancies?
Ooh, nice one. Sponsored campaigns on Google. We also experimented with it. We did see that the cost per click and the cost per application was quite high. And also you're reaching out to active candidates. If you're not using YouTube or Google Display Network, if you're using Google Search, then it's for active looking job seekers. So we're not quite a fan of Google. I must
It's
say.
also expensive.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Only thinking about myself. Okay, at this moment you should see my screen. And what we want to do is actually use the steps in our software, either kind of to show you how that works, but also to explain you a bit on how you can, and the things you should look out for if you start developing, if you want to use it yourself.
Maybe make it a bit bigger?
I will make it a bit bigger. Let's see how that, let's do this.
Yes.
There you go.
Perfect.
And again, we also mentioned the Academy, which is available here. In the Academy, we have quite a bit of webinars and workshops where we run you through this. If you would, for instance, want to use the Facebook Ads Manager to do that yourself, you can find those there. And I shared the link or in the past, but maybe you can share it later again. So what we've done here is Sales Engineer. We've chosen, or you have chosen Volvo actually, to advertise. What you can see here, and this is maybe a very good time to briefly explain special ads categories.
Yeah, so I think it was in the end of 2022, Facebook announced that the targeting options in the campaign manager are getting limited for doing recruitment campaigns. It's also for finance and some other sectors, but for recruitment campaigns, the targeting options are quite limited. You can't select age anymore. You can't use all the audiences anymore. So we had to invent also something which you can still use on Facebook as an audience.
Exactly. And that's one of the things, one of the solutions we came up with is to actually start grouping the data we have from past campaigns together. In this case, for instance, we can either choose as a category a sales representative to target people which have more of a sales background, but you could also choose for instance, an engineer. And then kind of maybe you can do two campaigns, see what attracts the most interesting people in that perspective. Here you can select the language. Again, we'll go for 3 to 5 years, and then maybe we can ask the audience, in what region, I should have asked in the beginning, where do we want to look for this sales engineer for Volvo? Do we want to look in Sweden? Do we want to look in Italy? Do we want to look in Brussels? Put something, Ghent. Well, okay, Ghent, where obviously Volvo is currently located. So that's a good choice. We'll go for Ghent, Belgium. We'll save this here. So again, you can either use our software, or use the Facebook Business Manager or TikTok Business Manager to do something similar. We'll choose Facebook and Instagram for this exercise. You can, and Steph already talked about thumb-stopping visuals. We'll talk to that in a second. What's also important is that the text that you use in the ad, so it's real, which is readable on Facebook and Instagram or the other platforms, is short, right? It's snappy, and it focuses on the right things. I'll just do one thing here. I'll refresh. I'll choose this. And as you can see, there's a button generate using AI. This is our system using a template, which we know works well. It's 3 bullet points about the job and then a call to action below it. So keep it short, keep it snappy, and think candidate, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to add, like, you really should think about what's in it for the candidate. As you're talking to passive job seekers, they already have a job. So you need to think about what makes my company unique, what makes my package unique, what makes the job unique. Think about that and write it in your advertising. There's a question from Valeria. How does the language work in targeting? Will the ads be shown only to users who set choose their language on Facebook? No, it will also be shown to English-speaking people in Belgium.
Yes, but it's a good point that, you know, you need to take that into account, because some people, especially in Belgium, think we're
Yeah.
going to show our advertising in English,
Yeah.
because then we're going to reach both French and Dutch speaking people. It doesn't work that way, right? Because if you put it in English, it will mainly be shown to people with their browser in English, to the detriment of people having it in Dutch. So it's a very good question, and also something you need to take into account. Just to continue, we think it's important that on the advertising, you also already show your logo. So we allow you to upload your logo to them. And I just found, I think, 2 pictures. Let me see here, somebody in a Volvo garage that I found on the internet. So I'll add those pictures here. So this is a demo account which we use, and the pictures are here. So we'll put them up here. And again, maybe the thumb stopping element, you can repeat again.
Yeah, so think about, because people are scrolling, and on Facebook, for example, it's 160 meters a day, which is quite a lot on average, of course, but you need to think about what can make people stop scrolling. So your pictures need to be thumb stopping. Think about what can attract candidates for my vacancy.
Yeah, and again, well, we mentioned A/B testing already. What's very, very important is that you make sure you test and you compare different visuals. I just kind of, again, coming from the Volvo website, we took these pictures. As you can see, our software will automatically put it into the right format, because, and if you want, let's see, we would like to have this gentleman a bit more in the middle. We'll do that here. He actually looks like a sales engineer, right? Some people were saying earlier, why didn't you use a picture of an accountant instead of the Westmalle Abbey? I think in this case, if ever there was a sales engineer, this guy would be it. So he's also clearly driving a Volvo. And again, the idea of our software is that you can make it very easy to set a logo, put a banner. Also the banner, it's a good learning. You can see here we made several templates which we have tested. It's very, very important to make it clear that this is a job ad, right?
Yeah, I would take the last one on the right.
On the right, let's take this one. And obviously, you know, you can change every element which is on here. If you want to put in more into the colors of Volvo or in your brand colors, you can do everything like that. But that's very, very important when you set up a campaign. Make it clear from the beginning, it's a job ad, right? Don't try and trick people with nice pictures to go to your website, hoping they will apply there, because it's just going to confuse the Facebook algorithm, right? Maybe you can explain a bit about how that would work on Facebook?
What did you say? Sorry, it just was...
Because Facebook will actually track who's clicking on an ad, right? And they will then automatically, just being thrown out of our software and doing too many things at once. But if you can maybe explain how that works and the importance of people clicking on the ad, making sure it's the right person clicking on the ad.
Yeah. So, of course, you want the right people to click on it, because you pay per click on all the social media platform. So you want to make sure that the right people click on it, and that you have to think about the visuals, but also about the copy. If you're looking for an engineer, for example, with a specific degree, then mention that, because you don't want to have clicks which are not relevant. Yeah. There are some more questions.
Yes,
I'm not sure. Valeria, yes. So the targeting. Sorry, I already handled that one. Madeleine, do you have any data to show this if it works in the German market? Yes, we have. I will share the link maybe to the demo where we can show you some use cases of the German market. There you go. So you can book a short meeting with one of us, and then we can show you some campaigns that we've run in Germany.
But maybe, and that's very important, because that's the beauty of Facebook, is that the aggregated data about customers is easily transferable to different countries. Because again, Facebook, and also TikTok are using behavioral data. So it's based on what do people click on, what are the websites they visit, what are their interests that they have. And it's very easy to transfer learning from one country to the other. So if you know how to target sales engineers in Belgium, you can use that data and then target similar people or similar candidates in different countries.
There is also a question about if you're looking for someone in Finland and you don't know the language, then you can select the language which is called Finns.
Finnish.
Finnish.
Or Finns if you're speaking Dutch.
Yeah. So you can select the language Finnish in targeting, and then you can use our AI tool to write the vacancy and the advertisement in Finnish. And yes, it is a good quality, the translation, but you can't you can't translate it into our software yet. I'm not sure if we're going to do that in the future, but you can't write your vacancy in Flemish.
No, sorry, yeah, you can. You could, for instance, we could. Well, let's go to the ad here, and let's just say here. I'll ask this text. Sorry, no, we can do that for the. Let me show.
I'm not sure.
No, not for the ad.
No.
We can do it for the vacancy text. Yeah.
Translate.
We can just say translate to Finnish. That happens. We can do that already now. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So no, Nick, you don't need DeepL anymore.
No. That's also important. We are using the 4.0 version of ChatGPT, so it's a paying and most up-to-date version that we have. Maybe just to show on the vacancy page, what's important on the vacancy page, and that's also why we put it here, is that you think about what are the 3 reasons why you should convince people who are currently a sales engineer at, let's say, Toyota. How could you convince them to come and work for you? I will just put kind of, let's say, great colleagues, let's say work-life balance.
Yeah, because again, this is really important as you're talking to candidates or to applicants or to people that already have a job. So talk also with your employees, maybe within the company, because sometimes it's something silly or something which you didn't think of, which makes your company unique.
Exactly. And this is now, again, using a template. Very important also is that the landing page, so when people click on your ad, make sure it's not longer than, what do we say, 300 to 400 words.
Like that, yeah.
90% of people will be coming through mobile, right? So make sure this ad is mobile friendly. Again, that's also why we built the template. Very short introduction in the beginning, and only if people are interested, they will then scroll and will read more about it. And if all goes well, let's just see how we can do it. Translate to Finnish. And there you go.
Whoa! Didn't know.
We improve our software every week,
Yeah.
but also again, as we mentioned, if you would select Finnish from the beginning, that would have done everything in Finnish already.
There's also a question from Christine. Is this the Ads Manager from Simple Software? Yes, it is. But all the tips and tricks that we give, you can also use them in the Ads Manager of Facebook itself or on LinkedIn itself. Of course, our software puts the ads live directly on the different platforms, which is quite handy and easy to use.
And also does the optimization. So we will also look at the data, automatically do A/B testing, see what audience is working better. So you don't have to worry about that either.
I think that's a compliment. I'm not quite sure. But Christine says, thanks guys, you are hilarious.
This is a bad translation from Finnish, and it means you guys are boring as hell. Well, let's assume the first one. Okay, and then the last one, quite important also, which you can manage here. We have an automated chatbot. Again, what's going to be important on your landing page is that you make it as easy as possible for people to apply. So do not make it mandatory for people to send their resume. Too many people still do that. It's a huge blocker for conversion. When people are coming from Facebook or other elements, they will probably not be sitting at their desk. As I mentioned, 90% is coming through mobile. They will not have their mobile on their, their resume on their mobile. And again, because we're targeting passive candidates, most of them will not have an up-to-date resume. So don't think that you can kind of ask them a resume, ask them a couple of short questions as we propose here. And then I think maybe it's a good moment to wrap it up. But those are the 4 important steps when you set up your own campaign. Think about the targeting, think about setting a performing ad with short text, think about your landing page, and then think about an easy way to apply.
All right. So let's see. I'm going to share my screen again. Mark, I think you should stop sharing.
I should stop sharing. I'm
Yes.
stopping sharing now.
Thanks. All right. If you have any more questions, now is the time. We are still here to answer them, as we still have some time for you. So if you have any more questions concerning recruiting campaigns on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok.
Just going to build on it. It's not a question from Stefan, but he's saying good luck in reading the application in Finnish. What we tend to do for our customers is that we will make the advertising and the vacancy page, we will do it in Finnish, right? But then the application form will be in English, because obviously most of our customers will be looking for people who are able to speak English. And that allows you to do specific targeting with the right language. You attract people, and then you use actually the chatbot to ask questions in English, which makes it easier for the recruiter who does not speak Finnish to then actually analyze whether this is a good candidate for them. That's also another easy way to recruit people internationally. You do the local advertising, so you do advertising in the local language, but then the application form in English.
All right. Any more questions?
Does EA also create already on-the-spot video ads to get more clicks? It's in a development pipeline, but not yet live. Cool.
All right. Okay. If you still have some more questions in the next couple of days, or when you're looking at the simple software or the ads manager on Facebook or LinkedIn, and you still have some questions, then you can of course reach out to us on LinkedIn. If it's marketing related, I would advise you to reach out to me and not to Mark.
Unless you want to get a funny but wrong answer, then you should send it to me.
No. Okay.
And we will maybe we will not email a summary, but we will send out recordings of the full webinar later on.
Yes.
Yes, same. So Nicolette, yes, you will get an email with the recording.
All right, cool. Okay, then thanks everyone for joining us.
To telling us how to get a score?
No, it's not there yet.
Okay, all right, good. All right.
No.
That's for next time.
Yes, maybe just quickly publish the demo page again.
Okay.
So if you have questions concerning if simple software is maybe interesting for you, then you can just book a meeting with one of us, and then we will try to explain you how you can use our software within your company.
Cool.
All right. Okay, thanks everyone for joining us today, and hope to see you soon in one of our next webinars.
Cheers.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye-bye. Photos.
Photos.